Welcome back to my channel again, guys. Thanks for joining me for this video. We have another deck guide here. The theme of this deck is witches and druids. This video is relating to one that I released recently. I created a video for one of my viewers. They requested that I do my competitive deck, the pro rank one that I play, the Battle Trance Alchemy deck. However, incorporating some of the new Way of the Witcher cards. So that's what this deck is. It's basically a combination of my old alchemy deck with the Crow Mother and the scenario, but also incorporating those new Witcher cards. So we're going to go through this deck together here. We're just going to go from the bottom all the way up, and what I'm going to do is explain card by card its role in the deck and when best to use it, just as I always do with any of the deck guides. So just to best give you an idea of when to play it, and basically the reasoning behind why the card is in the deck. So I wouldn't say this deck is completed. It's just one that I've put together quite recently. I've had a few wins with it already. So it's kind of indicating to me that it's got some potential. And basically, you know, feel free to transform it into something of your own. If you have some ideas with the cards in this deck and you think you can do something better, you know, go for it. That's kind of why I'm producing it to you. You can just come up with your own brainstorming kind of ideas and put whatever else in there. This is just my idea. I'm sure you guys have plenty of ideas too. So look at it as just a way to get you started, I guess, with this deck. Okay, so here at the bottom, we've got Crow's Eye. Sorry, I should start actually just by mentioning, just to clarify, yeah, so it's Battle Trance, this deck. That's the leader ability. Whenever we play an alchemy card, we heal a random allied unit by 1. We have the Crystal Skull here as well, as I always decide to use it. The Crystal Skull here we are using for Crow Mother, just in case someone doesn't want to do something funky and doom her. Also with our Quartermaster, we can use it on the Quartermaster. He has an order ability, so you don't want him getting locked and then you not be able to damage your allied units to spawn Witcher students. So that's why we're given the Quartermaster Veil as well to protect him from his ability being hampered. And same with the armored boat here, the ship. It boosts when it loses its armor. You can use Crystal Skull on this too. Outside of that, obviously you can just keep it on the field until one of your units gets poisoned. Then it's a good time to give it Veil. It's probably worth mentioning to you guys, don't know if you know that or not, but say if a unit's been poisoned, if you give it Veil and it's already poisoned, it can't get destroyed by being poisoned again, just in case you didn't know that. I didn't know that in the beginning, so maybe it's a good tip that can help you. Okay, so now we're going to go through the cards. So at the bottom here, we've got Crow's Eye Rhizome. So it's an alchemy card. If, according to our leader ability, if we have a unit that's damaged on the field and we play this, it's going to heal it by 1. Okay, that's because of our leader ability. But this card's going to spawn 2 crows only, unless you have a druid on the field. So obviously, make sure you're going to play this card when you have a druid. Simple as that. So it gives you 3 crows, 6-point value if you have a druid on the field. Just keep that in mind. Golden Froth, boost 3 adjacent units by 2. Alchemy card. Once again, we have this in here because it's going to give us extra value with our leader ability. We get to heal a unit by 1 when we play an alchemy card. So that's why we have this in here. So make sure you line your units up side by side when you're playing this deck to allow for that. Okay, that's a good tip with that. You also may want to keep in mind saving more of your alchemy cards that we have here for the final round when we play our scenario, because at that stage we'd like to have 2 Crow Clan Preachers up on the board. If there's 2 of them up on the board, every time we play an alchemy card, they're going to boost each by 2. So it's best to save your alchemy cards to the end with this deck. However, those first 2 that I've just outlined to you, you can play them in the first round. It's no big deal. Going on from there, so here's the new addition, the Bear Witcher Quartermaster. So what he does, damage an allied unit by 1, then spawn a Witcher student on this row, charge 2. So this card you can use in the first round. Open it up. I'd say first play, if you'd like to, a combination you could do is play this card first if you're going first on the first round. Play it first, veil it, then play Armored Ship here and use the Bear Witcher Quartermaster to damage the Armored Ship. The Armored Ship boosts when it loses its armor, and then at the same time you're going to spawn the Witcher students, sorry. Okay, so you can do that with a Bear Witcher Quartermaster. Also, another thing that I'd like to do with the Bear Witcher Quartermaster is you can use him on Crow Mother too. So the thing with Crow Mother is she always comes back. Say if she's been destroyed from the board, sent to the graveyard. If we play an alchemy card, that card comes back on the field for us. So you can see we've got some value there. We're not really losing any units. We can use the Quartermaster onto Crow Mother. Even if you want to use both of them on Crow Mother and destroy our own Crow Mother, then we can just make sure we play an alchemy card and we get her back for 4 points fresh. So that's how we can use the Quartermaster cards here. You could also use them on our Defender, Covenant of Steel. I mean, the Defender has 2 armor, so I guess you wouldn't be damaging it. I mean, it's not optimal as a player. I wouldn't really aim for that, but if you'd like, you can switch it up and do that. And yeah, I think it's probably something worth playing, worth trying. Another good thing to remember is even though we're damaging our own units, because of our leader ability, we can just play alchemy cards and we can heal our own units that have been damaged. So 2 Crow Messengers, I'd like to play them in the first round just to get momentum. The goal of the first round is really just to get as many big point plays as possible, like one after the other. Crow Mother, putting the Crow Clan Druid in between the 2 crows spawned with Crow Mother, then dropping Crow Messenger, 8 points, 8 points, 8 point plays, making it really hard for the opponent to catch up to you. So first round play, Crow Messenger, make sure that you don't have both in your hand when you're playing it. It's not going to draw the other copy from your hand. It's going to draw it either from the graveyard or it's going to draw it from the deck. So if you're going to drop Crow Messenger, also you have to make sure you got an alchemy card in your hand if you want to summon the other copy from your deck. So if you play it from the graveyard, it automatically summons both copies. Okay, Crow Clan Preacher. Save this card for the end when we're playing the scenario. The scenario that we have here, as a part of the progress whenever you play Druid Prologue, spawn a Crow Clan Preacher. So at the beginning of the scenario, we're going to spawn a Crow Clan Preacher on the row, which is this card here. So as I said, bonded means if there's another copy of it, it's going to activate this ability here, boosts off by 2 rather than 1 whenever an alchemy card is played. So that's what we're keeping the Crow Clan Preacher for in our deck, opening up the scenario with that. So then we're going to get way more value out of having 2 of them on the field rather than just one. It's just going to be boosting by 1. I mean, it's decent because we're going to play quite a fair few alchemy cards in the end. But if you really want to kill it and get very far ahead, just have 2. Okay, so the Crow Clan Druid, sorry, obviously they're needed to activate the scenario that we have, or you can just drop the Druids between the crows or between any crows. So like the crow's eye crows, they get spawned. You can drop a Druid between 2 of them. It's going to boost each one on each side by 2, so that plays for 8 points, this card. You can drop her between the crow messengers, or when you play Crow Mother and Crow Mother spawns 2 crows, you can drop her between that. So remember, she's best used when dropped between 2 beasts. Okay, that's all you have to remember. Boost adjacent beasts by 2 on either side. So be mindful when you're playing this deck, like make sure you have enough druids left for the end, because we need that for the scenario to really complete it and get it going. I think we need 2 druids, isn't it? Progress whenever you play a druid, prologue, spawn a crow. So when you drop this scenario, it's just going to spawn this card here, but then we have to play 2 more druids after that. So when we play the second druid, it spawns Crow's Eye Rhizome, and then the final one's going to be Mardrome. So remember, keep 2 druids until the final round when we're playing the scenario. Okay. The armored ship, it does have an alternate use too, as well as being used in the first round. It can gain a lot of value using Mardrome on it. So just to show you what that card is. So this one down here, damage your unit by 3, boosted by 9. So with the armored ship, it's got that ability, as I said, where once it loses its armor, it boosts itself. It will boost itself by 1, but if you have a bloodthirst of 2, meaning 2 damaged enemies on the opposite side of the field, it's going to boost by 2 rather than 1. So dropping this onto the ship, it's going to get us very good value, just as kind of like my other strategy with the Draco Turtle. That's ultimately the best to do Mardrome with, but using Mardrome on that ship is a very good alternative too. So obviously, because we're trying to work with the provision costs in this deck, it's a different style deck. We're trying to use that strategy in a different way here. So think of it just the same way you use Mardrome on Draco Turtle in my other example decks that I've shown you. Use it on the armored ship in this one. So take armored ship into the end or in the first round, and you can play it twice because we got Freya's Blessing here. Play a bronze Skellige unit from your graveyard and give it doomed. So with Freya's Blessing, it gives us the ability to play the ship twice. So we can play it in the beginning with the Quartermaster if we want to run that style. And then we can use it again in the end too to get value out of the Mardrome. We've got the Bear Witches here. On deploy, we'll damage self by 3. So you're going to remember, if we want to get the most out of this, Adrenaline 4, meaning once we have 4 cards in our hands, it's going to damage self and an enemy unit by 3. So that means, say if you got 5 cards in your hand, and the next card you play is the Bear Witcher. So he goes down onto the field, meaning then you have 4 left in your hand. His ability will still activate. He'll damage another unit, an enemy, by 3 at that point. The reasoning behind having the Bear Witcher in this deck, obviously we have a healing leader ability. So he becomes damaged on deploy, but using alchemy cards, we can heal him too. So that's kind of my idea with playing him. So we can get some pretty good value that way back in from our deck. So I would save the Bear Witcher, in all honesty, until our final round. Play them in the final round, and the way I would like to play them in the final round best, I'd say we use selective mutation to draw a Bear Witcher from our deck. Now the beauty in this is that this new card is an alchemy card, which fits perfect with what we're going for here with our scenario strategy. So once again, think about it. We got selective mutation and alchemy card. Once played with Crow Clan Preachers on the board, so the Preachers will be boosting themselves by each alchemy card played. So that's my reasoning behind having this here. You can use this. It's going to spawn Witcher Student on each allied row. The Crow Clan Preachers get boosted from that because of the alchemy card. And then we can drop a Bear Witcher down. So that's like a big point play there. The Rune Stone, kind of experimenting with this. It's an alchemy card, that's why I've put it in. Best use for the end. We may be lucky enough to draw a Bear Witcher out of this, or maybe some other kind of card. Let's say we're optimizing for the Bear Witcher. That's what we'd like to aim for in this. Go for the Bear Witcher in the end once again, because we can heal him after he's been damaged. So that's the idea behind that. But like I said, I'm still experimenting with this and not quite sure if it's the best thing to put in. It is a runestone that's an alchemy card, so it does fit with the strategy. So the phrase blessings here, they work quite good with the scenario as well. So once again, more alchemy cards for the scenario so that we can boost the Preachers here. You can also use it, we can use this to get a Druid back if we played them in the first round. So that's a pretty good way to use that card, or any of our other bronze units that we may have played. Like I said, if we played the ship in the beginning, also Quartermaster, we can get any of those back. And it also gives us a lot of good value, considering we don't have that many druids in this deck, because in my old Battle Trance deck we had Gremist and Axel Three Eyes as well, which are two druid cards that we could have used to activate scenario. But since we don't have them here, we're going to be a bit smart how we're going to play our deck exactly. So yep, so Freya's Blessing can give us a lot of value in the end. Once we have these two Crow Clan Preachers up on the board, say if you want to draw your crows from the graveyard, them alone will be 8 points, and then the Crow Clan Preachers boosting themselves by 2 each, that adds to 4, so it's like a 12-point play if you want to do that, for example. Okay, so Berenga, this card here, we have to make sure that we have a Witcher on the field if we're going to drop this, because it's going to destroy itself if there's no other Witcher on the row. So it's probably wise to use Berenga with the Quartermaster, because the Quartermaster is going to be spawning Witcher students, so there's going to be more Witchers on the field. Less chance that this could get destroyed then. So I would use this in the first. Use Berenga in the first with the Quartermaster, and that way you've got a higher chance that he won't get destroyed. Selective mutation, as we said, really good to play in the end. because it's an alchemy card. It's going to spawn 2 Witcher students on each row. So say if we have a defender and one gets spawned on the same row as the defender, that means it's protected. So that could be a good backup play for this card if you'd like to play it like that. Also, it's really going to set us up well in the end to play Trial of the Grasses. So Trial of the Grasses is also an alchemy card, which is why I've put it in here. Works very good with our ending strategy with the scenario and the Crow Clan Preachers. We can use this card to boost them as we play it, once again, because it's an alchemy card. So that's the synergy with this card being put in here. We have, on the final round, we draw a Witcher student onto our side of the board on either side of the rows. That sets us up for Trial of the Grasses. We can play Trial of the Grasses on one of those students. So that's the reasoning behind that. It sets unit's power to 12 if it's not a Witcher. Damage it by 6 first. So obviously the Witcher students, they're on 2 power. Using this on a Witcher student will boost it by 10. So we get a lot of good value out of this card, using it on the student Witchers. You could also use this card on Geralt. So Geralt's 2 power unit as well. So this will bring him up to a 12 power unit. Set a unit's power to 12 because it will boost by 10 to get him to that point. So which is really good, very good value. Also, as I said, works very well with the synergy of what we're going for in the final round. Alchemy card being played. So playing that onto a Witcher student gives us 10 extra points. And then because it's an alchemy card, with the Preachers, extra boosting, extra points. Leader, save it for the final round. So we want the leader to protect our scenario and get that up and running, make sure it doesn't get heat waved by anything, protect our bigger power units so nothing doesn't get there and destroy them. This card here, Alchemy card, works well with the Alchemy ability that we have when you play an Alchemy card, healer unit, boosting the Crow Clan Preachers once again. But this is more necessarily used for our Covenant of Steel, the defender, if it gets taken out. So if our defender gets taken out, we can use this right away to get the defender back in. So Crow Mother, use her in the first round, get her out there, so then we just have her throughout the whole entire play. Whenever we use Alchemy card, she'll get drawn from the graveyard. Geralt, for any big boosting plays by our opponents, use Geralt on them. He'll reset them all. He resets the power of all units on a row. So just remember that. They all get affected by him. It doesn't matter if a unit has immunity. If Geralt is played on that row and that unit is boosted, it will still get reset. So yeah, and then there's just the scenario on the end, and we have Oniro to draw anything out of our deck when we need. It's always very handy to have it in your deck. So in all, that's pretty much the summary of this deck and what it's about. The strategy that we're going for ultimately in the final round, we want to play scenario. Play scenario with all our alchemy cards here that we have. In the beginning, we can mix it up. Quartermaster, Druids, Crow Messengers. But ultimately, in the end, we want to set up for the scenario, for the Witcher students, Selective Mutation, Trial the Grasses, and win that way. I hope this deck guide has helped you understand this deck better and given you some ideas for yourselves if you want to come up with something similar to this. Really try my best to come up with some good stuff for you guys, not just whatever kind of decks that I just do for the sake of. When I'm developing these decks, I'm really trying to think how far they can work at a pro level. So please remember that the effort that goes into making these, and sometimes it can be quite time consuming. So sorry if I can't release content all the time. So that's pretty much it in summary. Once again, thanks so much for viewing my videos, subscribing, commenting, liking, sharing. Please keep doing all of that. It helps my channel to grow. Really appreciate all of your support that you've shown so far. If there's anything extra you guys want to see, any specific kind of videos, just let me know. Happy to do that. And I can't say thank you enough. Remember, all is one. Stay tuned for more content coming out soon. See you all.